Hello and welcome to Arlington Public News. I'm Carla Dorado.
And I'm James Milan.
In this edition of APN, we have a look at the latest local government developments, including a school committee vote to address enrollment growth by using the former Gibbs School instead of adding on to the Ottoson Middle School, and public information sessions were held in advance of town meeting. We have the details.
Plus, Arlington residents come together in celebration of Patriots Day. We have highlights from the parade, as well as the reenactment of that fateful day's bloodiest battle, which took place right here in town, known at that time as Menotomy.
Arlington's annual town meeting begins Monday, April 25th. Warrant articles were publicly discussed during information sessions held ahead of town meeting. One on changes to height calculations for homes, and the other on expanding equal rights to include additional and more comprehensive protected classes of persons. News intern Paola Tristan Arruda joins us in the studio with more. Paola?
Thanks, Carla. The Arlington Human Rights Commission is looking to join 12 other cities in Massachusetts that have non-discrimination laws protecting gender identity. Through a warrant article they're sponsoring, the Commission is seeking expanded protections for gender diversity in Arlington. On Thursday, April 14th, they held a panel presentation and discussion titled Expanding Equality, Protecting Freedom of Gender Identity and Expression in Arlington. Members of Fenway Health, the Mystic LGBTQ+, and the Youth Support Network were on hand to lend their support. State Representative Sean Garbley was there as well and spoke about similar legislation he is co-sponsoring in the state legislature.
Under current law, a owner of a restaurant can ask a transgender individual to leave. They can be denied service. But under the 2011 law, they can be hired. So we have a loophole to close in the laws of Massachusetts. And so I have been working with my colleagues in the House to pass it. I know the Senate President just announced that he is planning to bring the bill up for a vote on the floor in the Senate later this month or next month. I am hopeful that we're going to follow suit in the House, and we're working to do that. But this is about equal rights, and we can't let people's fears and misinformation of what this bill isn't to let that impact our ability to do what is right.
All I want to do is live my life in peace. I face constant harassment and prying into my private life as a transgender person. I'm always aware of the danger of being in public, looking over my shoulder and just not feeling safe. Anyone can get me evicted from a restaurant or shop or city bus, and I have no voice to protect myself from that danger, even in progressive Massachusetts. I know this happens to many people who do not conform to rigid gender norms, like butch-looking straight or gay women and effeminate straight or gay men. It can make a simple evening out very inconvenient just by using a restroom.
The other public meeting dealt with warrant articles that proposed changes to zoning bylaws, including looking to expand mixed use of commercial space and reduce the need for special parking permits in business and multifamily residential zones. Those attending were particularly concerned over Article 8, which is meant to encourage responsible new residential building by changing the definition of a basement. If approved, in some cases, a cellar would then be treated as the first story of a house.
If he's got an exposure greater than 4 feet 6 inches in more than half of the perimeter of that house, that basement is already a story. He needs to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit because he's already maxed out. He's got nowhere to go. He needs special permission. It's a permit that we cannot give by right. So the proposed change drops that from 4'6" to 3'6". It's an individual case. It all depends on, your property.
I knocked on hundreds of doors, talked to a lot of people, and this was a big concern to the majority of the people I talked to. But the one thing they were concerned about was the new construction. They weren't concerned about reasonable additions to existing houses. And when I look at these articles, potentially in addition to the other articles that are on the warrant, I see how that could really limit anybody from making any changes to their house. And I'm not sure that's really what the people are concerned about when they're actually looking at significant changes compared to minor changes. They're looking at the significant changes, new construction on small lots, not minor additions or reasonable additions that are currently being done to existing houses.
Annual town meeting begins April 25th, and ACMi will have full live coverage. Back to you, James.
Thanks, Paula. As always seems to be the case these days, it was a very busy week for Arlington's governing bodies. You can find the meetings airing in their entirety on our government channel, but we have highlights from last week's Board of Selectmen and school committee sessions in this government roundup. It was a full agenda for the April 11th Board of Selectmen meeting, but the item that sparked the most interest involves the location of the proposed registered marijuana dispensary in town. Current plans call for the dispensary to be co-located in the same building as a pediatrician's office. That brought a number of residents out to voice their opinions, including some families of the pediatric practice who expressed surprise and dismay at the prospect of that co-location.
I also do go to Arlington Pediatrics and was made aware of this. There's two things that I just point out. I voted for medical marijuana. If you asked me if I would have voted for medical marijuana, I have it cited near a pediatrician's office, I would have said no. I think that's the difference. It's not necessarily the medical marijuana as an issue, it's the citing of it near a pediatrician's office.
My daughter also goes to a pediatrician office there. I have really nothing against dispensaries, but I do question the co-location. It just doesn't sound like the right place to have it.
Responding to such concerns, the board reminded residents that the dispensary would require a special permit from the Arlington Redevelopment Board. This process, in turn, requires an environmental design review meant to determine, among other things, the business's impact on, quote, the character of the town and the public health, safety, and general welfare thereof, unquote. At its April 14th meeting, Arlington's school committee tackled the controversial issue of how to address the dramatic increase in student enrollment, specifically at the Ottoson Middle School. After a number of Ottoson staffers reported on the results of a teacher survey indicating majority resistance to the idea of expansion, the committee voted unanimously in support of renovating the Gibbs building to once again function as a school.
To take kids from small elementary schools and plop them in a tight, condensed, largest middle school in the state is a tremendous disservice to our kids. It's a tremendous disservice to the people who have to work with them. It is not educationally sound. It's not a viable option. I don't know what the numbers are going to be financially, but educationally, this is not an acceptable proposal. We need to move forward, and we need to move forward with the Gibbs.
Further steps remain, including the official recommendation of the School Enrollment Task Force on April 28th. The task force will announce its recommendation after it receives the final report on the relative costs of the different options under consideration. Still pending as well is the question of whether the Gibbs would be a 6th to 8th grade school or 6th grade alone.
Planning is underway to make Arlington Center a little nicer for pedestrians and shoppers. Arlington Public News reporter Rudy Anna looked into the Envision Arlington project to find out what changes and improvements that might be in store.
I'm here at Town Hall for a discussion on the Envision Arlington project, where town officials are gathering to talk about plans to make Arlington Center more customer and pedestrian friendly.
It's the kickoff meeting for Phase 2 of the Mass Ave renovations, an envisioning session where Public Works and the Department of Planning and Community Development are working together to find out what residents and local business owners need to make the area's streetscape look better and work better. And these ideas, city planners hope, will feed into the project's design elements, engineering, and eventually construction.
It's exciting, but it is the very start. So tonight's more about the new ideas, brainstorming, and sort of drumming up the energy, and also getting people grounded in an understanding of what the project is.
After Phase 1 reconfigured Mass Ave in East Arlington up to Pond Lane, the plan's Phase 2 will include work from Pond Lane to Mill Street. The town of Arlington is matching local funds with community development block grant funds administered by the Department of Planning and Community Development for these planning activities bringing significant changes.
I think the way that people are using the roadway will probably change. The town recently adopted a complete streets policy, and so some of the elements within a complete street include making room for bikers, excellent pedestrian space as well as automobiles, and then also just the usability of the road.
That usability could include other amenities, like more places for people to sit, more trash bins, even additional trees for shade and head cover. Things people are enjoying about East Arlington's new look that can be incorporated into this next phase.
Well, I think the street lighting in that area is very ugly. These old concrete poles have got to go, and I hope that this plan involves replacing them both on the avenue and on the streets coming into the center, because it's just an ugly welcome into the center.
The economic benefits of wanting to use the street will also mean a big boost for local business owners too.
A community like ours that has such a small commercial tax base, it's particularly important that the commercial districts be accessible to everyone who wants to come and visit.
At the planning meetings, attendees watched a presentation that identified literally hundreds of problem points where engineers at Vanasse, Hangen, and Brustlin are looking to make improvements. Broadway Plaza earned the most attention. Meeting attendees spoke about the area's trash problems, drab aesthetic, and overall need to inject a sense of vibrancy and energy into the town center.
A lot of different ideas were thrown around, and the organization that was doing the design work, they seemed really proactive in having the community get involved and give input. So I thought that was really profound. So we'll see where it goes.
And more planning is underway. Arlington residents are encouraged to participate in both a site walk with VHB on May 5th and a second planning meeting happening on June 16th at the Town Hall.
Here at Town Hall, I'm Rudy Anna for Arlington Public News.
I don't know, Carla, there's an awful lot of stuff going on. The medical marijuana dispensary, we've got the Gibbs School, we've got the changes in Arlington Center. It's making my head spin.
You know, I think it's making a lot of people's heads spin. I mean, I think if you even follow some of the local news online, you'll see that there's so many opinions out there about everything. And you know, some of them are justifiable and some of them are, I don't know, you know.
We shall see. Speaking
Yes,
of local news, back to ours here. Coming up next on Arlington Public News, we have a look at a new memorial for those who have served in the War on Terror.
Plus, a drop in the number of young girls playing basketball. We'll tell you what the town is doing to encourage more players. Stay with us.
So The Boy from Oz is a musical that tells the life of Peter Allen and explores the relationships in his life as well as the music that he brought to all of us. I play Liza Minnelli, who was Peter Allen's first wife. They were married when Liza was quite young. And what's great about this character is that you learn about who she was kind of outside of the fame that she had experienced in her career. And I think that it was, as an actor, it's been really fun to explore you know, what it meant to be in her shoes and to have this relationship with someone who was also climbing the ladder toward becoming famous. And I think the relationship is really special, and Tom and I had a lot of fun in kind of depicting what was a very deep respect and friendship that the two of them had. The show opens on April 1st, and that's no April Fool's joke. Please buy your tickets, come see us. Even if you're not familiar with the show, you will be so delighted, and I think you'll have the time of your life. So come join us.
Arlington's Patriots Day Parade made quite the comeback this year. The Department of Health and Human Services helped organize this year's parade, along with a volunteer committee. Past parades were put on exclusively by volunteers, but fundraising was a struggle, and they had to cancel last year's parade. This year's event raised $20,000 for the various bands, reenactors, and others who participated. APN's Brenda Mahoney co-hosted our coverage of the parade and has this report.
I'm Brenda Mahoney for Arlington Public News in front of Town Hall, where Arlington Patriots Day Parade 2016 marched by along Mass Ave. And we have highlights from the parade, including a reenactment of the Battle of Menotomy at the Jason Russell House.
The Grand Marshal for today, we honor the late Kenneth Simmons as our parade Grand Marshal. Carolyn Simmons, Kenny's wife, Christina's daughter are here representing him, and they're driven by Bob Bowes and Ed Whaling's 1974 Eldorado. That's a name from the past.
So you just saw highlights of Arlington Patriots Day Parade 2016. For full programming, you can check out ACMi.tv and watch it as well on your cable channel on the public channel. Brenda Mahoney for Arlington Public News.
Veterans of the Global War on Terrorism will be honored in a ceremony this upcoming Memorial Day. The Veterans Council is planning on unveiling the memorial at Mount Pleasant Cemetery. News intern Paola Tristan Arruda talked to the Director of Veterans Services, Jeffrey Chunglo, to get the details.
Behind me here at Mount Pleasant Cemetery sits a monument for Vietnam veterans. It is one of several in honor of this country's past wars. And now there will be another memorial, this one for veterans for the War on Terror.
The Veterans Council has been working with the Cemetery Commission to identify and designate the lot. So the global war on terrorism encompasses all military operations that have occurred since 9/11. So some are still ongoing and have not been closed out. So it's a continuation. So it's that final burial lot to recognize the sacrifices and service of those men and women. This year, we're going to be conducting the ceremony here in the Town Hall Auditorium. It is going to be unique. I do have remarks from Medal of Honor recipient Tom Kelly, and he's current president of the Medal of Honor Society. And our keynote speaker will be Major General Jeffrey Clark. So he brings a lot of compassion, and his remarks, I'm sure, will be very appropriate to the families of veterans as well as to all the men and women service members. I think with the keynote speakers that we have, they're going to be able to provide a lot of insight, not only to the sacrifices that our men and women make, but also their families. And I think that's the other key portion of this, is that men and women have served and they will continue to serve. But behind the scenes, the people that sacrifice the most are the families that are staying home.
Over $10,000 were raised for this event, surpassing the Veteran Council's goal of $8,000. The ceremony will be part of Arlington's Memorial Day plans, and the public is invited to attend this memorial on May 30th at 9:30 a.m. I'm Paola Chesnaruda for Arlington Public News.
There's still more to come on APN. Next up, after the break, we talk to cancer survivors who have found their own ways to raise funds and increase awareness of the disease.
Stay with us.
Hey guys,
Oh, hey Studio Night.
want to do something cool? Make TV with ACMi Studio Nights.
I don't think we have time to make TV.
That sounds hard. You have time to watch TV, but not to make TV?
Well,
Join ACMi Studio Nights to make TV with new friends, Wednesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. and get this tiny flashlight, unless you're scared.
I'm not scared. You know we can still see you, right?
No, you can't.
Pretty sure we still can.
Do you have what it takes to ride with the Studio Knights? Of course you do. Join us next Wednesday.
An Arlington woman has raised money and hope for cancer survivors. Krista Crudson served as the New Balance honorary team member for the recent race for the cure for breast cancer held in Boston. News intern Katie Chang has her story of survival and advice for others battling cancer.
Krista Crudson of Arlington, Massachusetts was just 32 years old when she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2001. After recovering, she began participating in the Race for the Cure Massachusetts, a 5K run fundraising event for breast cancer organized by Susan G. Komen, Southern New England, in partnership with New Balance. She first heard about the race from her husband's mother and has been participating since 2012.
But it took me many years to really kind of, come out of this and realize what I wanted to do to be part of it. And so that's how I'd heard about it. She had done a lot of work with the Race for the Cure. So I thought, what the heck? I might as well do it and try to see what it was like. And when I went, it was so inspirational, and just the camaraderie and the spirit of the day and the people there it was incredibly inspiring. The other survivors that were there, and even just people that weren't, but whose lives had been somehow affected by it. So it was really a moving experience. So that's why I kept coming back after that, because it was just a really special feeling.
Krista was named this year's New Balance honorary team member, a breast cancer survivor who was selected and recognized at the annual event.
Last year I raised $3,200, and then when they emailed me and said they would like me to be the New Balance honorary team member, I was very, very excited. It really meant a lot to be honored, and then to get to speak on Saturday and tell my story and hopefully inspire other people. So it's a really special honor.
This year, her daughter Kaylee, born after Krista recovered, is participating for her second time. They are excited to walk together and hope to finish in under an hour.
Even more inspiring, like she looks forward to it every year, and every time she sees a Race for the Cure pink ribbon anywhere, like on a bumper sticker or anything she always gets, she's like, "Mama, there's your race, there's your race." So now it's even more inspiring to have her with me, and now she understands what it is and how important it is to keep trying to raise money.
Her advice for other women going through breast cancer?
So I'd say try to just keep your life as normal as you can with all the craziness that's going on around you. But the more friends you can surround yourself with, and just the more you can just go on with your life and treat yourself. If you're feeling lousy and you feel like you want to do something to cheer yourself up and you're feeling well enough to do it, then by all means do it. But certainly, feel sorry for yourself, sit there, feel sorry for yourself for a while, but don't spend the whole time feeling sorry for yourself. So just take care of yourself and know that you can beat it.
This year, Krista surpassed her fundraising goal of $34,000. She's been cancer-free for 15 years. Katie Chang for Arlington Public News.
There's another event geared to those affected by cancer, and this one's being held in Arlington. The annual Rock for Relay was founded by a young cancer survivor with the support of his mother, who later also ended up being diagnosed with the disease. Danny and Diane Bianchi are doing well now and hope to help others through their upcoming concert and fundraiser. Here's more.
Hi, this is Katie Chang. I'm joined in the studio today by Diane and Danny Bianchi, creators of the Rock for Relay 2016, which is a fundraising event for the American Cancer Society, Relay for Life of Arlington. Thanks for coming today, guys. What is Rock for Relay?
Thank you for having us. Rock for Relay is an event that raises money for the American Cancer Society. We bring in a few rock bands and a blues harpist to help us raise money for this great cause.
What are its goals?
The projected goals for this year, we set it at $3,000. Last year we raised $4,200. We have raffles and T-shirts as well that will bring in some of that revenue so that we can have more survivors. And the goal is to have more survivors.
That's great. And Danny, why did you get started with Rock for Relay?
Well, the reason why I got started with Rock for Relay is because I really have a big drive for music. I've been playing instruments for about 7 or 8 years now. But it's something that's been really helped me with not only my survivorship, but just becoming an adult and growing as a person.
What can we look forward to seeing this year at the event?
So this year at the event, the 2-Minute Warning Band is playing, and we're also bringing in Gary Richard. He played last year, and he's a blues harpist. So he comes in and plays a really great set with the harmonica. and people get up and dance, and it's just a lot of fun. We also might have a few acoustic people come in and play just during the slower moments of the night. But overall, it's going to be a very fun night with people getting up and dance and just having a great time.
And where can people go to find out more and to help out?
They can go to rockforrelay.com and they can donate online. There's a donate button. They can go to Rock for Relay and place a donation right online. They'll see the American Cancer Society logo right there. And if anybody cares to join the team, they can also reach either one of us on the website.
And we're actually going to close with scenes from last year's event. And on behalf of Diane and Danny Bianchi, I'm Katie Chang for Arlington Public News.
I'll tell you, you and I have spoken about cancer on this show before, but it's so nice when it's related to things like exercise and entertainment, music, et cetera, in order to raise the funds that are so necessary to make a dent.
I agree, and they're a lovely family. So
they really are. Best of luck to them.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us this week to explore local events and issues affecting Arlington. Check out extended interviews and our latest segments on the web at news.acmi.tv.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Arlington Public.
Please join us next time for another edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Carla Dorado.
And I'm James Milan. We'll see you then.